Hey, y'all. Welcome to Battle Wounds Podcast. And I'm your host, Amos St. John. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. It means the world to me that you've tuned in to another episode of Battle Wounds Podcast. Now, if this is your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, you won't regret it. This is going to be an amazing conversation. Monologue, I guess. It's just me talking. But this is an opportunity just to connect. Now, if you haven't subscribed, this is your opportunity to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe now. All right. Follow, like all the social media pages. Be a part of this army. We are Battle Wounds Podcast. We're an army. Many of us are looking to overcome what we have battled in our past or presently battling to become our better selves. And I just want to encourage you to be a part of this army, whether you're male or female. A lot of what I share is from a male perspective, but I believe females can get a glance of what males think and how we talk and how we think. But this primarily is coming from a male perspective. And of course, I always leave room for the female perspective, because what is this world without women? Oh, we need you. All right, mothers, this is the day after Mother's Day. And, it's been 24, 25 years since my mother passed away. Mother's Day is always a very touching moment for me, So I look to really reflect and just appreciate my mother. She passed away when I was 19. And so majority of my adult life, my mother was not around. And so just definitely appreciate all the mothers out there, okay, all the mother figures. I pray that you had a beautiful Mother's Day. Now, as we move forward and prepare for Father's Day, you know what, man, we going to have a good time. Father's Day don't get as much love as Mother's Day. I wonder why. Let me stop. But listen, y'all, I am thankful for another opportunity to share something from the heart. For those who are tuned in, I pray that you've enjoyed what's been going thus far. Last week we talked about, we talked about last week. We talked about this is only a test. This is only a test. Well, this week I want to talk about you are one decision away. Yes, one decision away from a better future or a troubled future. One decisions. I really want to talk about our decision-making power. Yes, I really want to talk about our decision-making power this episode. And what I share is always coming from a real place, place out of experience. And so I've noticed is like a lot of what we go through primarily is based on the type of decisions we've made. Whether it's a job, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage, whether, we're one decision away from a beautiful future, a beautiful day, or a terrible future and a terrible day, or something in between, it all depends. But I want to talk about this, our decision-making power. Like, I think what are some things I want to talk about, things that can affect your decision-making power. One thing primarily is your mind. Your mind is such an essential piece that affects your decision-making power. How do you think? How do you use your mind? How do you view things? How do you perceive yourself? It is all contingent upon how you think. And it helps you make better decisions or not make good decisions. And so really expound upon that, it affects your decision-making power. You're one decision away, and your mind plays a huge part in your type of decisions you make. Second thing, your past. Now, all of us may have some beautiful past and not so beautiful past. It can be a wide range of experiences. But it's so important to notice how your past plays into your present and your future. And so in your decisions, it may come from a past experience or a past failure or a past, and your past, it really affects the type of decisions you make, And so how can you use the experiences in your past to help your decision making is very important. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And the third thing that affects your decision-making power is your environment. Your environment is huge. Sometimes we subject ourselves to environments that are toxic, that are not healthy, and it affects the way we make decisions. Your environment plays a huge part in your decision-making power. So make sure again, as you're noticing trends and common denominator in your decisions and failures or not so good things, notice your environment, okay? Notice the way you think. Notice what is in your past that is affecting your decisions now, and your environment, or the third thing that affects your decision-making power. You're one decision away from a beautiful future. You're almost there. You're one decision away. And take that next step. But these are just little things, little tools and resources you can use to help in your decision-making power. Now, again, we're believers. I'm a believer. I believe in Jesus Christ. And so I pray. First thing you seek is God, of course, before you make decisions. And so I want to make sure I add that, and not forsake the fact that the God factor, Now, I want to talk about things that benefit your decision-making power. All right. In therapy, my therapist always is encouraging introspection, reflecting on experiences, whether in your past, present, and learn from them, good, bad, and ugly. That's what I'm talking about. When you look back in your past, for me, I went through a divorce. A divorce is I've heard horror stories. My divorce was not necessarily a horror story, thank God, but it's been difficult emotionally because you invested almost 20 years. Me and my ex-wife have been around each other for 20 years, and we were married almost 12. And we have a beautiful daughter. And so much has been invested. And so you grieve that. You go through the grief. So I reflect on that as I move forward. I was in a relationship post-divorce. The relationship didn't work out. Okay, cool. How do you reflect on that? What you learning from that so you can move forward? And that's where I am now. People are in different stages. Some people don't necessarily take time to reflect. They just keep moving, and not realizing if you don't take time to reflect on the decisions you've made and learn to gain some good things from it. I'm gonna take a little sidebar. There's a analogy my therapist mentioned about, how do you, the things that you can get from an old house. I think there's still good wood in the old house. You still, saying, as you peruse throughout the entire home, there is still good wood to use in your future. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even in old situations, there's still good wood in it. There's still good wood you can use to build your new future. Okay? So don't necessarily just burn down the old house. You know what I'm saying? Before you burn it all down, make sure to check if there's still some good wood to use into building your future. Oh, I thank God for my therapist. I'm telling you, one day I'm going to bring him on the pod. So introspection is very key benefit to your decision-making power. The next thing is that it's your ability to listen and learn from people who have succeeded in areas you struggle in. For me, it's finances. I'm okay in finances, but I can do better. Another area is entrepreneurship. I'm okay in it, but I can do better. I remember I was sharing, I suck at entrepreneurship. Like, I'm okay. I can start a business, but there are some other little nitpicking things about maintaining a business that I struggle with because I'm a creative. You know what I'm saying? And so I am honest about that. I love to listen and learn. I get into podcasts. I read books. You know what I'm saying? I engage in very insightful conversations with people, and you'll be surprised things that you learn from having a good conversation. And so that's the second thing, your ability to listen and learn from people who have succeeded or have, even failed from areas that you are struggling in, because you can learn a lot from someone else's failure. I've learned a lot. I've been able to avoid a lot of mistakes based on what I've seen others go through. Oh, I'll be like, ooh, that don't look good. Maybe that's not something I need to partake in. And you just learn from that. So if you take time to listen and learn, you can benefit it could benefit your decision-making power. Third thing, I'm always big on, short and long-term goals. So it's important that you establish short-term and long-term goals. Ever since I've transitioned out of my last job, I took a moment in, a couple of months, and I couldn't necessarily establish short, long-term goals, because there was been so many disruption happening in my life. Things that I planned has just been blown up. So now that I am entering into a new chapter in my life, I am able to establish some short-term and long-term goals. But I tried like early in my process to establish, and I just couldn't. But I took time to have introspection. I reflected on some things that maybe I could have done this different, or maybe, okay, that's what okay. You know what I'm saying? I took time to reflect. Then I listen and I learn. I talk to people who I can glean from. I listen to podcasts. I read books. I look at programs on YouTube, on TV that help build me and help me make better decisions. You know what I mean? And then third thing is that I am now establishing short-term and long-term goals. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. You can try to establish long, big goals and all that stuff. Sometimes you got to break it up. Okay, what can I do in the next 3 to 6 months? Okay, what I would like to do in the next 3 to 5 years? You know what I'm saying? Or next 5 to 10 years, Lord willing. It's important to establish short-term and long-term goals, but also leave room for life. Life be lifing. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to establish short-term and long-term goals. It helps you in your decision-making power, this decision-making power, because as you establish goals, you know how to navigate. Okay, maybe I don't need to do this job because it doesn't fit where I'm trying to go. Or, maybe this job fits exactly where I'm trying to go. Cool. Or maybe I'm going to do this just for the next 6 to 8 months, and then it sets me up for the next thing. I work this job and take the money and pay off bills, pay off my credit card, do this, and when I'm there, I'll shift. And while I'm there, I'm working on my long-term goal. There's so many ways to attack your future and to build in your decision-making power. So remember, introspection is so important. Your ability to listen and learn from those who may have done better or failed, or people who've succeeded in the areas that you're struggling. And then third, establishing short-term and long-term goals. You know what I'm saying? So you understand that you are one decision away from an amazing future. And I want to encourage you who's listening and watching. You are one decision away. Choose wisely. And it's important that you take this moment seriously, because I may be talking to the next Elon Musk. I may be talking to the next billionaire or next person with the next big idea. And if you're listening, I really want to encourage you. You are one decision away. Choose wisely. I believe in you. I believe you're going to make it. I believe you're going to get out of debt. I'm a believer that you are the first multimillionaire out of your family. You're going to be able to take your family out of famine because of your decision making. So I want to equip you with the good decision making power. Okay? But it's important that you take these steps. Again, reflect, introspection, look back within yourself and your past, and learn from the good, bad, and ugly. You know what I'm saying? Listen and learn. And then establish short-term and long-term goals. Okay? And 3 phrases I want you to take away from this. Don't hesitate to adapt. Life comes at you hard. It comes with waves. I keep saying this almost every episode. Life be lifing, bills be billing, inflation be inflating. So don't hesitate to adapt. I know you want to hold on to the old way of thinking, old way of doing things. I struggled with that. Like, this is the way I've been. This is the way it worked for me in the past. Well, things have changed now, Amos. Adapt, adjust. Okay? Don't hesitate, because we're living in a forever moving world. You have to be ready to adapt. Second thing, don't be afraid to evolve. The old you ain't working no more. Okay? Welcome the new you. Okay? As you take time to grow and learn, heal, Welcome the new you. Evolve. Don't be afraid to evolve. Don't be afraid. Don't hesitate to adapt. Don't be afraid to evolve. And finally, don't be afraid to walk alone. I know it's important to have community, so I don't forsake that. You need community. You need a village. But there are moments in your journey that you have to be able to walk alone. Okay? Not everybody needs to know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? That there's sometimes you need to sit with yourself and be like, okay, for me, Amos, you can do this. You're going to make it. You're going to exist in the overflow. Like you're going to be walking. And I'm seeing my life moving towards this overflow that I keep telling myself. So sometimes it takes time to walk alone and speak life. Again, I love my village. I love my circle of accountability. I love my community. And it's growing in a healthy way with quality people, but it's just important to be able to walk alone. So don't be afraid to walk alone in certain elements of your journey. As you are getting ready to make great decisions in your life, it's so important that, again, you don't hesitate to adapt, you don't be afraid to evolve, and please don't be afraid to walk alone. You're going to make it. You're going to make it through this. You have to embrace that discomfort that you're experiencing. So many of us want to avoid discomfort. Of course, I get it. Nobody wants to be in discomfort. That's not something that you welcome, but you have to embrace it in this season because you're getting ready. It's going to equip you. The lessons that you learn, the things that you endure is defining, is building. It's like muscles. Like you got to have to experience pain in order to get the gain, And so no pain, no gain. So embrace the discomfort for a season, and you'll notice a difference in your decision-making power. You'll start noticing, like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to eat fast food, and I don't need to spend money going out to eat all the time. Maybe I need to start cooking. That's one thing I learned in this season. I'll be cooking my butt off. I do a little bit of substitute teaching now, and I'm kind of transitioning a little bit into the school system, and I'm noticed, I was like, let me prepare a lunch. I used to make fun of people now because I'm not going out to buy lunch every day. I save a lot of money by cooking, and I cook, and now I'm starting to plan meals and start to have that. And so it's like, listen, man, you're going to learn. You're going to learn today. And it helps your decision-making power because you notice there's a little bit more money and cushion left in the bank because you've made better decisions in your spending. And you know what I'm saying? I've noticed that I'm healthier in my thinking because I'm not engaging in too much toxic activities or toxic behaviors or engaging in too many toxic conversations. No, not gossiping. Of course, I've noticed about this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hip hop head. I grew up in New York City, like in the heart of hip hop. And so, of course, I am into that. And, I noticed what's going on in buzz about Pastor Keon Henderson hushing that lady in a choir stand. And I got my own take on that. We live in, this is a soapbox, but, we live in this world that, we take a 30-second clip and it becomes this big viral thing. But for someone who has been in the church for a long time, I understood Pastor Keon Henderson's position. And then he went on a Tamron Hall show and gave a little bit more context behind it. But I didn't need that to understand what he did. He didn't do that to be malicious or to be a dictator. There's order. You know what I'm saying? Even in your home, there's order. When there's a lot of noise going and it's distracting and there's something important that needs to be dealt with or said, it requires maybe some hushing. But again, I'm not quick to jump on 30-second clips and say my opinion because we forget another C word, context. Before you make any decisions or make any, judgments, make sure you have context, folks. Let me not get into that. But of course, I in the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, that rap battle, I think it was great entertainment. Of course, I don't know the context behind what started it or, there's more to the story. But from an entertainment aspect, I liked it. It was cool, to hear both sides. Of course, I think Kendrick killed it because he's just such a wordsmith, such an amazing storyteller and an artist. Nothing against Drake. Drake does what he does. He does what is best. But I think when you come across someone that is such a wordsmith, like to use your words to tell such a story, to send a message without using too many gimmicks or too many things, he just went word for word. Like I couldn't see Drake going word for word with Kendrick Lamar. Like lyric for lyric, it's just he's just in a different sphere. Now style and pizzazz and charisma, of course Drake has that, and he uses that, and he uses what he works well with what he got. But I just saw Kendrick. He could have rapped without a beat and still be so effective, because he's just an amazing lyricist, a rapper, and obviously he was fired up behind a cause that we have yet to have full context on. And so, anyways, y'all, I went on a little soapbox of what's going on in the world, but I'm careful on what I really listen to and really because I want to make great decisions. So I'm not really embarking too much in the toxicity of the internet. I use a little bit of time and squander a little time and scroll through what's going on. That's cool, just to kind of keep on. But I don't really let it really get into my mind and consume too much of my time, because I want to make great decisions. I realize I am one decision away from greatness. I'm one decision away from success. I'm one decision away from an amazing marriage. I'm one decision away from making an amazing future, setting up my kids and my kids' kids. And you know what I'm saying? So I am one decision away. And so I'm noticing that every step I take is helping me, growing me, teaching me. As uncomfortable it can be sometimes, I realize that this is helping me, and the long term is going to be beneficial if I allow it to be. And so I'm so thankful that you've tuned in to this episode. I'm encouraging you again. You are one decision away from an amazing future, and I want to see you win. Come on, you got this. You got this, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in to the Battle Wounds podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Amos St. John. And remember, health is wealth. Until next time, see ya.